Hey guys, Languagehacker here, and I have a new, well, relatively new as opposed to the old priest list that I posted, a new Shadow Priest list for you guys, which is a little spicier than the previous one, and the previous one was also kind of spicy. We're running, unironically, 2 Tinyfins and 2 Desk Imps. Yes, we're running 0 mana 1/1s that I never really imagined would have actually seen play in Standard, but yet here they are. We have a lot of the core cards that Shadow Priest normally has. Obviously, you need Benedictus, only Shadow spells. We actually trimmed out the Void Shards. We're only running 2 Raised Deads for Shadow spells. We're not running Thrive. Because of that, we're also not running Mancrake. This performs as an even more aggressive, maybe a hyper aggressive, you could even call it, deck. More true to like the old school Face Hunter type decks that we've seen in the past. And because of that, we want a very, very low curve. As you can see here, super low. We're running Benedictus because we have to, and then we're running 1 4-drop. Everything else is 3 and less. And then let's talk about why we're actually running Desk Imp and Tinyfin. Well, there's actually a lot of synergy with this. Let's start going through the list. Raised Dead, 0 mana 1/1 into 0 mana raised minions into 0 mana 1/1. That's a lot of tempo. And I mean, ironically, it's like, oh, it's a 1/1, but it is tempo. What else do we have synergy with? Void Touched. Well, if we vomit our minions on the board and have a Void Touched, we have extra instances of damage, which just multiply with the Attendant. Deceptor, technically if you don't have a 1-drop, you can play a Tinyfin and draw the Deceptor on 2, but I wouldn't really call that synergy. Wriggling Horror. Sometimes you struggle to get 2 minions on the board really quickly, especially if you only have a 1 mana minion on the play. 1 mana minion into Wriggling Horror, there's no room to actually squeeze another minion in there. And with 0 mana Tinyfin or Desk Imp, you can go something like Void Touched or Freshman on 1 into 0 mana minion plus Wriggling Horror and get on the board fast. You can dump some extra cards before Mind Render. You can dump some extra cards with Traveling Merchant to give it the buff. And you can dump it with Voracious Reader to draw some more cards. So it works. And finally, actually, one of the most important interactions, Disciplinary and Gambling. 4 mana 3/6 plus 0 mana 4/4. Seems very, very good. And you can do some wacky stuff, specifically on Coin. Picture this. Coin Gambling, Tinyfin, Raised Dead, and because the Tinyfins got sacrificed with the Gambling, they actually died, and then you can go 2 more Tinyfins. So you can, in some instances, have turn 3, something like 20 stats on board, which is insane. 19 technically, so it's really wacky. It's quite a bit of a setup, but I've had that happen before in a game, and it was quite fun. Mulligan, what are you looking for? You're looking for 1-drops. You really want Freshman Void Touched on 1 as much as possible, and I would not keep anything 3 or more mana. You just don't want that stuff. On Coin, against some matchups, you can consider, like I said, keeping Gambling if you have some 0 mana minions. The 0 mana minions aren't actually a keep most of the time. If you have very specific hands, like I mentioned earlier, 1-drop plus Wriggling Horror, you can consider keeping a 0 mana minion as well. But otherwise, you just want to make sure you're spending as much mana as you can in the first few turns of the game, getting on the board and being aggressive. Void Touch is great on 1, but if you have alternatives, you can still play the other 1-drops and then save the Void Touch for when you have enough of a board, and when you actually play the Void Touch, you get immediate damage value out of it. So sometimes you can save the Void Touch, but generally keep 1-drops. I wouldn't keep Tour Guide against some of the slower decks. It's very good against tempo-heavy matchups, something like Hunter, Paladin, or the Mirror, where you actually do need to control the board, and Tour Guide helps you do that because it's just 1 mana, you get to do the ping. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep Tour Guide. I wouldn't really keep 2-drops either. Neophyte you can consider against some spell-heavy decks if you do already have the early minions to play, because if you don't, the deck kind of just falls apart or is much less powerful if you don't actually have a 1-drop on 1, which sounds really silly, but that's how aggro decks work. So you want to make sure you have stuff to be doing every turn. Make sure you time your Mind Renders appropriately. Have a full board. If you have 2 turn lethal set up, just jam Mind Render, hit them in the head, and then they can't do anything because your deck has no removal. That's also one of the reasons to take out the Void Shards we were running earlier. When you do run Mind Render, sometimes they have the Void Shard left over in their hand, and then they can heal back up and maybe not die immediately, but Mind Render can help with that now that that's gone. Yeah, I mean, just play for tempo. When you're out of stuff, you can drop the Voracious Readers, do some refill. Yeah, I mean, there's not that much to it. You can use Aug Merchants to protect some of your minions as well, going into something like Soul Rend turns against Warlock, or maybe protecting it against a Mirror Ping. Aug Merchant to protect your minions have been really, really nice too. I don't think this was in the previous list, but it's a really fun list. Try it out. Have a good one. Let me know if you guys want to see any other specific guides and if you enjoyed this one. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe, and here's some fun games for you guys to see. Kept Neophyte because I think people running around in Conjure are running into Conjure. If we had a 1-drop, this hand would be insane. Unfortunately, we don't. It's not a good Neophyte, but Tempo Chaplain doesn't seem good either. We could Mind Runner now, which could be fun. But just a dump coin, I don't know if it's worth. I was considering pinging my Neophyte here so I don't lose the coin Glowfly. Wow, sick draws here. It's unfortunate. It's not good for me at all. Really bad raise dead. I was hoping for Neophyte. We should still be fine. Hey Rain, how you doing? They lost a null, so if the alignment here, I don't think they can do enough stuff. I don't think the Mind Runner is good enough because it doesn't set up lethal, so we'll greet it. Okay, it's fine. Oh, you actually had another beast? No, you didn't. Okay, good. I mean, that's just game. I'm gonna full mull for the good ones. I'm on the coin, so I need to hit. Yeah, that's good. I should have coined this out last turn, but I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to have it on board yet. But it looks like they're taking it a little slow, so I can afford to. Well, it was a pretty good draw, wasn't it? I need like a tour guide here or something. We're a little behind on tempo, but we have the homunculus popping up next turn, so we're gonna take some damage and then maybe stabilize a bit. I have raised dead, so I have a lot of refill. I have 2 raised deads technically with the scepter. Scepter. It's not great. They've had a void touch and a true guy die, and both of those are really fucking good right now. Well, they're all in, but I'm gonna lose a shit ton of fucking health here. Okay, we decided to miss 2 damage here. Sure. Wriggling this so that contests there and this doesn't die to a ping. We should win from here. I'm playing this without the draw because the draw doesn't matter. I just need to not be behind on board, and that's another good reason. If they play it, they draw me cards, which isn't very good. We should win here, yeah.